Welcome to part 2 of this series. Why are so-called black labeled as black when their skin is not? When did we become classified by our skin color? If you have not yet watched part 1, I strongly encourage you to do so before continuing. Everything in this lesson builds on the truth laid out there, and without it, the deeper meaning of what you will hear today may not be fully understood. This message is not about superiority. It is not about provoking division. It is not about promoting one group of people over another. At this time, we are living in the most educated generation in the history of the world. Yet despite all our advancements, the vast majority of people still know very little about race beyond skin color or nationality. In our most recent history, over the past 3 to 4 centuries, the world has been divided by race and by the dominion of nations. And for most people, that is all they understand today. That is how the world has been taught to see itself. For example, I'm Afro-Caribbean by nationality because I was born in and lived in the country. But to the masses, all they see is a black person from Africa. Likewise, a white man is automatically seen as a Caucasian from Europe. A Chinese man is identified simply as Asian. A Mexican is labeled Latino or Hispanic. So on the surface of race and nationality, the world breaks people into large blocks. Skin color, continent, region. People desire to label us and group us according to these categories, but is that fair? Is that accurate? The simple answer is no. This message is about truth, a truth that has been edited, buried, or erased for centuries. And until we confront it honestly, we will never understand our true identity or the world we live in today. Let us begin. Why truth must not be edited. On this channel, we do not edit the truth. Many people only share edited versions of truth. Truth watered down to make others comfortable. But when you censor truth, you are not protecting feelings. You are compromising truth. And compromising truth is simply another form of lying. We refuse to lie. So yes, racism, as a structured system, was created inside Protestant Christian Europe. It was formalized by Protestant Christians in the same nation where Martin Luther's Reformation began, Germany. Religion sits deep at the root of these systems, and that is why these truths are so brutal for many to accept. But truth must be told. It is something we need to discuss. So if the historical reality is that racism, as we know it today, was started by Protestant Christianity, then that is the truth we must deal with. If the first formal racial classification system came from a Protestant Christian in the same nation where Protestant Christianity began under Martin Luther's Reformation, Germany, then that is the truth we must confront. These facts are difficult for many people to accept because religion is baked into all of this. It shapes identity, culture, worldview, and emotions. And when truth challenges the foundations of what people believe, it becomes hard either to accept or to reject. But truth remains truth. Why? Because, believe it or not, racism is a relatively modern idea. For most of human history, people did not classify one another by skin color. Their tribal names and nations identified them: Persians, Greeks, Jews, Saxons, Ethiopians, Egyptians, and many others. The world was not divided by terms like Negro or Caucasian. Dividing the world by color was an idea that originated from white supremacists in Europe after the Renaissance period. Racism is a social construct, engineered, not natural. A construct designed to uphold the system of white supremacy. And the more we attach ourselves to their definitions, their categories, their way of thinking. To validate this subject, we must first confront racism. Not in the shallow way the world presents it, but in its historical, psychological, spiritual, and structural reality. If you can understand how this topic was programmed into us in the lands of our captivity, you will gain a deeper and more accurate understanding of this entire subject. This is not about one race being superior to another. This is about truth. truth that has been hidden, manipulated, and used to control people for centuries. I know truth can stir emotions, and I know these topics can be uncomfortable. But discomfort is not the purpose of these lessons. The purpose is education. Because once we are properly educated, ignorance begins to disappear. If we do not educate ourselves on this subject, we allow ourselves to be controlled and shaped by white supremacy, the world's most educated generation, yet confused about race. In the past 300 to 400 years, the world has been divided by race and the dominion of nations, and most people today, globally, still see humanity through that same lens. Despite living in the most educated generation in human history, society still knows almost nothing about race beyond skin color and nationality. For the last 300 to 400 years, the world has been divided by race and national power. To most people today, that is how the world is, because that is how they were taught to see it. For example, I'm Afro-Caribbean by nationality, the country of my birth and the country I lived in. Yet to the masses, all they see is a black person from Africa. A white man is seen as Caucasian from Europe. A Chinese man is labeled Asian, and a Mexican becomes Latino or Hispanic. The world breaks people into large groups based on skin color, continents, regions. But is that accurate? Is that fair? Number? Not even close. And we must discuss why. Because none of this is accurate, none of it is fair, none of it is factual, and none of it is ancient. Racism is a modern invention. Believe it or not, racism is a modern invention. For most of human history, people were known by their tribes and nations: Persians, Greeks, Jews, Saxons, Ethiopians, Egyptians. No one was black, no one was white, no one was Caucasian, no one was Mongolian. Believe it or not, racism is a relatively modern invention. For most of human history, people were not classified by skin color. Their tribes and nations identified them Persians, Greeks, Jews, Saxons, Ethiopians, Egyptians. The world was not divided into Negroid or Caucasian. Dividing humanity by skin tone originated from white supremacists in Europe after the Renaissance. These racial categories were not ancient. Racism was engineered, designed, and constructed. A psychological system built to uphold white supremacy and reorder the world according to European dominance. The more we attach ourselves to this worldview, the more we allow it to shape and control our identity. The decision to break from white supremacy. There comes a moment where each of us must decide. 1. Will we continue thinking through a worldview shaped by white supremacy? 2. Or will we break its hold over our thinking? When you finally decide to let go of that influence, your life changes, drastically and for the better. Because once you understand what happened to the world during and after the Renaissance, your eyes open. Your thinking adjusts. You begin to see the depth of the manipulation. During the Renaissance and the centuries that followed, the world underwent catastrophic change. America was becoming an independent nation. Freemasonry stepped into public view. The Rothschild family began rising to power. European humanist art reimagined biblical figures as Europeans. Even the letter J was invented. German anthropologist Johann Friedrich Blumenbach was the first to divide humanity by skin color. Much of the racial divide today can be traced directly to him. Let me be clear, racism existed before his time. Scientific racism existed before him, but Blumenbach created the formal system, the classification still used today. Even he admitted something important. Here is a quote from Blumenbach himself. All national differences in the form and color of the human body run so insensibly that it is impossible to separate them by any but very arbitrary limits. 1825. End of quote. He knew it was artificial. Yet his work became the foundation of racial ideology. This era reshaped everything. The world you know today would not exist without this period. And it was during this era that the world was divided by skin color. Johann Friedrich Blumenbach, the architect of the racial system. German anthropologist Johann Friedrich Blumenbach created the world's first official system of racial classification. Though racism existed before him, Blumenbach formalized it into a scientific structure that still shapes the world today. He divided humanity into 5 races. He color-coded humanity. He labeled the Caucasian race as the most beautiful. He believed they were the original race. He was the very first person to apply this classification to Europeans. Another major contributor was Houston Stewart Chamberlain, 1855 to 1927. He promoted the supremacy of the white Nordic race and strengthened the idea of an Aryan master race. Together, these men shaped a worldview that divided humanity and placed Europeans at the top. They added psychological value to race, making people believe racial difference was authentic and meaningful. So when we speak about the roots of racial division in the modern world, this is precisely where the conversation begins. Blumenbach claimed the people of the Caucasus Mountains were the most beautiful in the world. The Mongolian, or yellow race, which included all of East Asia and parts of Central Asia. The Malayan, or brown race, which included Southeast Asia and the Pacific Islands. The American, or red race, refers to the indigenous peoples of the Americas. The Ethiopian, or black race, refers to sub-Saharan Africans. This man color-coded the world. He reduced nations and tribes, rich in culture, lineage, and history, into broad color groups. And it should not be shocking that many who held these racist ideologies identified as Christians. The slave owners who tortured and enslaved our ancestors were Protestant Christians. The Ku Klux Klan openly identified as Christian. Blumenbach believed that Caucasians were the original and most beautiful. He believed Europeans were inherently superior. And yes, Blumenbach was a Protestant Christian, born into a privileged Protestant family. The roots of racial theory were planted in Protestant Christian academia, just as the slave masters and the KKK also claimed Christianity. This is history. We cannot escape these facts. So while the modern world now condemns these things, during the era when the world was being reshaped, these ideas were embraced, celebrated, and built into the very foundations of society. At the time, European civilizations were dominating foreign lands, advancing technologically, colonizing nations, and building empires. To them, this was proof that they were superior and others were inferior. This mindset became the foundation of modern racial systems. It shaped political structures, education systems, and cultural values. It contributed ideologically to the global tensions that helped ignite World War II. And these foundations still influence the world today. This was not merely racism. This was an international philosophy of supremacy, engineered to control hearts and minds. My position on Scripture and Christianity. As we continue, you need to understand something clearly. I do not identify as a Christian. Yes, I was once a member of the Christian church, but over 10 years ago, Yah awakened me to who I truly am. A Hebrew Israelite. I reject Christianity as a religious system, but I accept the Bible. I believe the Scriptures. I live by Yah's teachings. My issue is with organized religion, the system that spread under the label of Christianity and the systems of men, not with the word of the Most High Yah. On this channel, we do not edit the truth. Most people edit truth to protect feelings, but hiding truth is just another form of lying. There is no tolerance for lies here. So yes, racism, as a formal system, was started inside Protestant Christian Europe, created by Protestant Christians, in the same region where Martin Luther's Reformation began, Germany. Religion is woven deeply into all of this, and that is why these truths are brutal for some to accept. Let us now look at the worldwide transformation that enabled racism. During this period, America was forming under Masonic influence, while Europe dominated foreign lands. Humanist art reshaped biblical imagery. The letter J entered the language. Scientific racism was being born. All this created the perfect environment to construct a global mindset. Racism became a doctrine, a worldview, a justification for hate and oppression. A mental program taught through education, religion, art, and later media. Europeans believed they were superior because their worldview told them so. They thought their success was proof of divine favor, and everyone else was lesser. This mindset is still alive today, even if unspoken, and the subject is the spiritual root of hatred. But here is the more profound truth, and let me be clear. Satan does not hate you because of your skin color. Satan does not hate you because of the color of your skin. He hates you because of Yahweh, the Most High. He hates Yah's truth, Yah's covenant, and he manipulates people to act against those Yah has chosen. Skin color is just the excuse, the distraction, the cover story. Those who hated us were manipulated by demonic spirits that hated us. They thought the hatred was about color, but they never knew the real reason. They were puppets in a satanic lie still used today. They accepted the lie because that's all they were told. Skin color was never the real issue. It was a convenient excuse, a satanic lie carefully kept from the light, a lie that is still used today. The global effect of white supremacy. Most people today still think through the lens of white supremacy, even if they reject racism. If you define people by skin color, you are using their categories, their worldview, their system. This mindset is not ancient, it is not cultural, it is not spiritual, it is not biblical. These racial theorists, Blumenbach, de Gobineau, Chamberlain, and others, did more than divide humanity. They created a mindset, a worldview, a psychological framework that taught the nations building the modern world to see themselves as superior and to see others as inferior. This worldview justified hate, it justified oppression, it justified destruction. It is new, only a few hundred years old, about the same age as the United States. The world is reaping the benefits of the systems planted centuries ago, and the Negro community suffers the most. The Negro community, the biggest losers of this mindset. No group has suffered more under this system than the Negro community, because we were taught to see ourselves exactly how our oppressors viewed us. We inherited their labels, we adopted their categories, we internalized their judgments. We have accepted the identity created for us by our oppressors. We are the only group on earth that calls ourselves by a color, and specifically a color that was engineered to mark us as inferior. Every time you call yourself a black person, you unknowingly agree with the identity white supremacy created for you. Those who awaken must reject this identity and refuse to let others apply it to us. Once we reclaim our true identity, our enemies can no longer easily control us. This is why these teachings will never be mainstream. Scripture commands us. 1 Timothy 4:7. Reject profane fables, and exercise yourself unto righteousness. Romans 12:2. Do not conform to this world. Be transformed by renewing your mind. Discern the perfect will of Elohim. Skin color categories are fables, lies, tools of manipulation, not truth. How to see the world correctly. There is division in the world, but not the artificial divisions created by race. To understand humanity properly, we must see the world through truth, not through Eurocentric ideology designed to control and confuse. In Part 3, we will explore how nations identified themselves before race was invented. Continue this journey. If this lesson has opened your eyes today, Share it with someone who needs the truth, someone asleep, someone who is awakening. Subscribe to this channel so you do not miss part 3 or any future teaching. They believed they were superior, not because of evidence, not because of scripture, but because of man-made doctrines wrapped in Christian language and racial ideology. This is not entertainment. This is restoration. This is awakening. They were convinced of their success, but here is the issue. People still think this way today, even if they never say it out loud. You can see it on social media. You can hear it in conversations. You can feel it in the world's more profound truth, that they were the chosen race. And everyone else, evil, fallen, inferior, and beneath them. Ezekiel 37 declares that even if you feel like dry bones, cut off and without hope, Yah still breathes life into his people. Your hope is not lost. You are not cut off. You are awakening to who you truly are. If you no longer desire to be a victim, regardless of your nationality or skin color, stop referring to people by skin color. Stop using the labels created by evil men. This system is not of Yah. It is a doctrine of men. There is division in the world, but it is not the division created by skin color. That division is false, artificial, a trap. To understand humanity correctly, you must see the world through truth, not through a deceptive social construct designed to divide, control, and conquer. When you see the world through the categories of black, white, brown, yellow, or red, you are not seeing through the eyes of Yah. You are seeing through the eyes of white supremacy. Even if you disagree with racism, you can still be shaped by its worldview. Its definitions can still control you. You can still be mentally influenced by ideas created only centuries ago. This deception became the norm because it was quietly passed down. Division does exist in the world, but not the false division of race. People are not the same. Nations are not the same. Tribes are not the same. Covenants are not the same. Purposes are not the same. But the divisions Yah created are based on lineage, covenant, obedience, and identity, not on the color of skin. To understand the world accurately, you must learn to view humanity through reality, not through a Eurocentric ideology designed to confuse and conquer. So walk in truth. Reject the lies. Renew your mind and continue this journey with me as we rebuild our identity piece by piece. If this lesson has opened your eyes today, share it with someone who needs the truth, someone asleep who needs to wake up. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also, click on the notification bell so you do not miss part 3. Until the next lesson, Shalom.